Okay, it has been a very, very long time since we have done one of these. And I actually don't know how to do this. So we're just going to jump right into this. Anyway, sketchbook tour. It has been a while since I've posted anything on this account. So right now, I think I'm just going to focus fully on the art for this one post. Not going to be any gaming clips in this today. It's going to be just a straight sketchbook tour. I have multiple sketchbooks that I'm actually going to be flipping through because I want to say maybe back in December, maybe early November, I started working with alcohol markers on top of me trying to learn how to use acrylic and watercolor. Obviously, I'm using pens for all these things because I don't really have the time to go get the full sets and then figure out how to mix everything. So right now, I still got the training wheels on. I'm not gonna lie, I still got the training wheels on. So we're gonna look at my progress of my first alcohol marker drawing to my most recent one because I feel like, I've kind of been doing my thing and I just haven't really been like keeping up with it. Yes, I do post on my Instagram, which I will put up here if I can figure out how to do that. So yeah, go check me out on there if you guys want to. But yeah, we're just gonna really get into it. This has just been like a compilation of studies because I really don't have, how can I say this? I'm still struggling to make my own original characters. So for the time being, I have just been studying other artists, just studying pictures and just seeing like what it is that I like and just redrawing, recreating them, sometimes repurposing them. So yeah, we'll just get into it. This is the technical first alcohol marker drawing that I did. It was actually some markers that I got from this event that I was doing at my job. I had to draw people. We just had like a little work event. I draw all the time when I'm on my lunch break and whatnot, and people see me. So one of the managers came up, asked me, he was like, hey, we're having like a work party. Do you mind drawing characters of people? Ended up using these markers. And yeah, I kind of like it. It was like my first time working with it. It was kind of interesting too to like see how it worked on this paper because for the event I was using Bristol paper and it didn't really bleed through. On this mixed media paper, does bleed through a little bit, so that was something I had to get used to. Also, too, another fun fact, because the markers that I had did not have this until I got some Ohuhu markers. This right here saves me so much trouble. Literally stops like from the marker from bleeding through the page and getting onto the next page. So once I got this, oh yeah, a lot of my pictures get a lot better. But yeah, this was the very first drawing. Portraits is like the main thing that I kind of like to draw to. Is like the thing I feel the most comfortable, confident with. So I just decided to keep going on with that practice. Okay, and then here we have the next drawing. I'm trying to censor this so it looks kind of, decent. But yeah, this was like the next one. You can see all the colors that I use here. I was kind of like testing it out, trying to just like get more comfortable with drawing like more dark skinned people because this is like my skin tone and I tend to like not really draw a lot of characters of my own skin tone. So it was just something I wanted to practice and get a lot better because I feel like personally when I see art of black people and you can really make the skin tones like pop and have like the different like gradients and colors, like I love when that shit happens. So I want to figure out how to do it myself. I do actually like how these both turned out. They're obviously both the same person. I think my favorite part about this is just how I kind of like got the lighting to sit down for the first time. Like I didn't do any guideline drawings for this outside of like the pencil just like for the eyes, the nose, and the mouth and the shape of the head. But everything else, like as far as like putting in the shadows and everything else, I kind of just went on with the marker. So I was pretty proud of this. This was an example of what I was talking about of like repurposing like a picture. So obviously I found a guy doing these two poses. I changed how the guy looked because he didn't look like this was a completely different character. And then I added in little elements that I kind of like to add onto my character. So I like to draw people with horns or whatnot. That's just something kind of like not really obsessed with, but as far as like an accessory or like an accentuation of the character, I feel like that's like the one thing. Maybe because I read a lot of like fantasy stuff, so I kind of just like always think about like demon lords and stuff like that. But yeah, kind of like the concept. And then yeah, I took a little bit of inspiration from JJK to get these hands going right here. Same thing with this one. Rather than it being like a black flash, I'm like, let me just keep it yellow and just see how it looks, and it didn't turn out too bad. Also, I don't remember what green this was inside the pack. I could not find it again. Like I don't know if I put the wrong cap on top of it and that's why I can't find the color, but yeah, I've just been struggling to find this green again. But I really like how this one turned out. Okay, so after that sketchbook, I went to go purchase one of these sketchbooks because these are supposed to be really good for markers. They're not supposed to like leak through before I got that other plastic thing. So this is the second one. The first one I had actually fell apart on me, so I'm going to show you guys a couple of sketches from that one, just a piece of paper because it fell out of the sketchbook. Just some Pinterest studies that I use alcohol marker. This was actually the first one that I used once I finally got my skin tone set when I bought my Ohuhu markers. I liked how this one turned out. This one, it felt really, really yellow, so I was like, damn, I think I might have made her a little too bright, but it still has her likeness. That was like the main thing I was going for. I'm going to go through a couple of these pretty quick because these are all just Pinterest studies. So yeah, this was followed up by that. I can't really remember which artist inspired me to draw it like this, but I remember I was looking at somebody's stuff on Instagram real quick, and I was like, oh, I like how they kind of like do their lines with their hair. So like that's how I started to practice it like this. But I really like how this one turned out too. I'm gonna go through these pretty quickly. This was the next one followed up. This one, yeah, I really like how the colors turned out. And this one too, especially with the pink and purple highlights in the back. I feel like it really made her skin tones really pop. And I think this was probably like the first time that I probably used like more than like 3 markers just to get the skin tone done. So I was really trying to focus, pay attention. And then this is probably my favorite one out of all of them, just because I like how I did the leaf on her face. Yeah, I really like how this one turned out. Like you can kind of see the shadow, everything. It really looks really good to me. So I really like this one. But I wanted to share these ones real quick before I jump into the next sketchbook. All right, I was actually flipping through this exact sketchbook to try to find something to show, but yeah, I draw too many nippies for them to be on this page. So we're gonna go into this one. This was something I did more recently, maybe like, I wanna say last month or maybe 2 months ago. I was trying to learn how to draw a little bit more translucent stuff, just because I kind of saw a lot of references of it on Pinterest, and I was like, yo, that just looks so cool. That just looks so dope. Like I wanna figure out how to do it. So this was the first attempt. I realized I needed to make my colors a lot darker, so when I did it for the second attempt, I was like, all right, let me try to like really push everything. But I really liked how I kept this part as the main glow. It just has that pop to it. That was like the main thing. I wanted the skeleton to be the main focus. Then I kind of took that idea a little bit further. This one was a complete copy from a manhwa I was reading, so I'm not gonna claim this as my own. But this one right here, I took this from statues that I found on Pinterest, and I just completely changed like the whole color, skin like theme. Put the skull mask over the face too, like all that wasn't there. Like I just added it to everything. The main thing that drew me to this was the hair. So I was like, how can I make this like pop out like a whole bunch more? I really do like how these colors was also making it more vibrant. So this is something I gotta work on a lot more. I also think I use a little bit of acrylic paint because I'm like, this pink looks really like bright, like it's popping. Like you see how this one's kind of dull, but then this one looks like a little bit more like full. Yeah, I think I'm gonna use acrylic paint for this. But it turned out good either way. Let me see what's on the next page. Oh, there's like a little pigeon that I saw one morning when I was just outside on my terrace. This is exactly how he looked. I was like, yo, I've never seen a bird that had like an all white head with like black specks. Then his chest goes completely back, and then on his wings, just on his wings, was just like shines of like purple and pink. I was like, bro, like where did you spawn from? Oh, all right. I think we might be saved. I think we might be saved here. I'm gonna take the risk, but yeah. So I have a lot of drawings in my sketchbook that look like this. So I'm trying to find the best way to kind of like show the art off without, getting the video taken out. Anyway, so yeah, this is just for educational purposes only. This is just like expression of art, nothing more, nothing less. So yeah, I ended up doing this piece because I really was inspired by Frank Frazetta. Like I like looking at his work. I like how he uses his colors. Like I never seen somebody use so many vibrant colors and then offset that with like a lot of shadows. And it kind of reminds me like, when I was in school and I was learning about like artists, stuff like that, I remember like Caravaggio. Frazetta reminds me of like what Caravaggio is, but just in a fantasy aspect. Caravaggio was more like realistic and stuff like that, where I feel like Frazetta uses a lot more colors that Caravaggio just didn't really tap into. His colors was kind of more of like that brownish, warm tone area with like a lot of dark shadows. You really just focus on like a lot of lights and darks. I feel like Frazetta kind of took like, I'm going to use the most lights of the lights that I can use, so that way my darks stand out just as well. So you kind of see like the difference between the two. So I think the main one that I was looking at, I can't even remember the name, but I'll try to put a picture up of it so I can show like the inspiration and reference that I got from it. So yeah, I kind of took the same thing. It's supposed to be like a little lake coming here, like a little swamp thing. She's supposed to be like a little forest imp or something like that. Couldn't really figure it out, but she's just sitting there bathing in the sunlight and just taking her time, just being there. Amazonish kind of like style where it's like not really too much is going on here, but just enough to kind of get the idea across. Okay, we're back. My phone ran out of storage. Anyway, not what I wanted to show, but since it's right here, this is just like a little warm-up drawing I did of Kulu from AFK Journey. Don't know if you guys play that game on a mobile phone. It's an idle game, so you don't really have to play. You kind of just sign in every day, you level up your characters, and they just auto level on their own. You have them fight, just regular, idle game I like to play. But yeah, now we're gonna get into some of the more recent stuff, I think. Yeah, this should be some of the more recent stuff. This was another Frazetta inspired piece, trying to keep the lighting, everything, trying to make sure I got my colors in there because I really love pink and purple, so I wanted to use my favorite colors for that. It turned out a lot better initially when I first did it, especially like right here, the skin tone, the lighting of the face. I really like how that popped, and that's why I kind of decided to leave the eyes kind of white. It didn't make any sense at first when I first was looking at it. I was like, damn, like I probably should fill it in. But I was like, nah, if I make these eyes any other color, they're gonna fade into these shadows, and I kind of want them to pop in these shadows. So that is the choice that I went with. I like the hairstyle too. I found this one on Pinterest. You know, just been saving a lot of hairstyles to draw so I can get better at drawing different people instead of just drawing the same hairstyles all the time. Because that's what I tend to do. I tend to just draw like straighter hair or like froze. So I kind of want to be able to draw like a lot more like intricate styles. Definitely like braids, stuff like that. I'm trying to get better at drawing like braids and cornrows. Next one was an unfinished one. Oh, yes, another fan art piece. You already know who this is. And if you don't know who this is Blair from Soul Eater. One of my favorite waifus. One of the first that I was introduced to when I first started watching anime. Yeah, not really a big character as far as like in the show. I didn't read the manga, so I don't know if she plays a much bigger role inside the manga, but as far as like in the show, I think she was like there for like at least like half the season. Then after that, I don't think she was like there more towards the end. Like I think she kind of like fell off a little bit. But yeah, I like the pose of the person that was doing the cosplay, so I kind of like, you know, stole some bits and pieces, accentuated certain parts, because that's another thing that I'm taking from Frazetta is that he likes to draw his ideal woman. So although I don't know what my ideal woman exactly looks like, I do have a type in the shape that I prefer. So I'm just drawing women in that shape. I tend to bounce between 3 different types of shapes because I'm like, oh, I like one specific type of shape. No, I like multiple shapes. So, you know, it's just nice to kind of play around with it and be like, oh shit, yeah, like nobody can stop me from drawing the woman that I like. Oh, this is amazing. Put that there just in case to save myself. But yeah, you can see this is a prime example of what my art block kind of looks like when I'm trying to sit down, look for a reference of something to draw, and I just can't think of anything to draw. So this one kind of just took this pose off of Pinterest. This whole orb thing, I found it from somebody else on Instagram that they kind of did something similar. I was like, oh, I kind of want to practice that, try that out, see how it looks if I was to attempt it, see if I can transform anything upon it. But no, kind of just copied it one for one. Same thing over here. This one was actually from, I think, a reference of Fooly Cooly, but I just changed the facial expression and everything, kind of just match it in the hair. I wanted to look a little bit more like something I would kind of draw, kind of like, I think that's like the one hard part about learning how to draw on your own and kind of like building your own, I guess, visual library is like understanding what to draw. You kind of have to copy it because you can't just sit there and think like, oh, I want to draw like a person, let's just say, I want to draw a person like throwing a punch. You have to look at other people drawing people throwing punches in order for you to draw a good example of it. Because if you don't know how it works in the first place, you won't be able to really replicate it. Sure, you could try and it'll be amateurish, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you kind of want to improve at it, you kind of gotta not skip the steps and put the practice in. All right, now I have to break out the bigger sketchbook, but here's a fine example of what an OC attempt looks like for me. This was done from a pause art challenge. Everything was pretty much just picked from there, except for the hair color. I kind of took a little bit more liberties with it. It was just these 2 colors at first for the hair color that it gave me when it generated, but I didn't like how that looked. So obviously, like I said, you know, purple's my favorite color, so I had to throw some purple in it to make it kind of pop. Let's ignore the ears, that the ears are showing through the hair. That was not my intention. I messed up when I was coloring over it. I realized I was like, oh yeah, I wasn't supposed to color the ears in. But hey, we ball. I was trying to draw him eating some ramen, you know, trying to just get a little bit more expression out of the character, try to see what does he like to do. This character's name, if I'm not mistaken, his name is supposed to be Zeke. He's supposed to be an archaeologist. We haven't seen all the nice green outfit. Yeah, I didn't have anything more built upon that other than just his name is Zeke and that he is an archaeologist. Anyway, let me see. Yeah, a lot of unfinished drawings in this book, but I will say like the improvements are like crazy for me. This is another one that I did. Bouette was trying to learn how to work with some grays. Another thing too that I'm noticing a lot about this sketchbook, especially over the year, is that like I do not have a consistent art style. That is just something that I've come to accept about the way I draw. Like I think it really just depends on the day. Like that's really all that it is. I don't sit down and kind of like draw things as much as I should too, and that's probably another reason why things aren't as consistent. But I think as I'm always constantly learning, constantly observing and taking in new details, kind of makes it hard for me to kind of do what I did last time. I'm always getting like a different result. So that's why it always looks like damn, like you drew this and then you do that and you drew this, like that. That's why I feel like it's so hard for people to recognize what my art looks like, because yeah, I don't have a solid identity where it's just like I'm sticking to how I draw things in this way. It was like I'm sticking to how I draw things in this way, but I'm also expanding upon each drawing. So it's just like you're kind of seeing the improvement, and that's why it's kind of hard for me to know how to gauge myself. Really am liking the eyes. That was like my favorite part about this whole entire thing. I was just like, oh yo, like, I think I looked at some cat eyes, and this is how cat's eyes look when you put like the infrared lights on it. You see like 2 little like dots on it for some weird reason. I was like, oh, that's so dope. That's kind of cool. So let me just take that. Also too, there's no order of the sketchbook, because as I'm looking at it, I think this one came before, and then a lot of this other stuff came after. So yeah, I like this one. This was just like a nice, easy Pinterest day. Was just copying some references. I just, you know, took the face from this one. Everything else was just complete creative liberties after that. Added the wings, everything else after that. Copied this one for one, copied this one for one, and same thing here. I just added the little green background. But I like how everything kind of turns out. I'm kind of like drawn in between this like super realistic style, but then also like this simplistic style, and I haven't really found the way how to balance it really well. Like Kim Jung-gi, he did a really great job of like balancing his super realistic with his cartoonish kind of like characters, and like I'm just still struggling to understand how to do that. So as I'm working my way there, we're just gonna keep getting more consistent by just drawing every day. That's where I'm really at right now. And this was like an example of something where just like I learned this. So this is Blob, I think, if I'm mistaken. Is that his name? Hold on, let me check. Okay, I'm back. It was actually Glob Herman. Anyway, yeah, so after learning how to draw him from copying the reference, I took creative liberties and just created my own character based off the same structure. I just drew a girl with, you know, no real idea or thought in mind, but just adding in all like the skeleton and whatnot. And I really like how this one turned out. This was kind of like one of the more coolest things I feel like I've came up with in the past year. Definitely one of my favorite drawings, mainly because I don't use any blues in my drawing. So I'm trying to also learn how to experiment more with colors, get out of my comfort zone. But yeah, right now I feel like that was pretty tame. And then we got this right here. This was my take on Medusa. I really like the whole concept of, you know, her story, being able to turn people into stone if you look at them and whatnot, but kind of taking that into a different account where I was just like, what would Medusa look like if there was a world where she can choose where she can turn people into stone? So it's not like, oh, she just makes eye contact with you and, you know, you can turn into stone. But because of her appearance, obviously, it's like that, she's not really too fond of blending in with society. Obviously, she has snakes coming out of her head. So where's the best place for her to be? In the forest. And I think this kind of light kind of comes in to kind of accentuate on her beauty. That's like the main thing, like the beauty of her eyes and stuff like that. Like what would make people want to look her in the eyes that will give her the potential and ability to turn people into stone. I think having eyes like this, especially having that light hit upon it, really brings the emphasis to it. So I feel like, okay, you're just so captivated by her that it's like you're being turned to stone. It's not like an actual thing. But if there was like a more fantasy setting where she had powers, yeah, she would definitely be able to choose whatnot. And she'd be a lot more, you know, attractive. I don't really see her to be as something unattractive just because, you know, she has snakes in her hair. But yeah, I like how this turned out. I think this was probably like one of the first pieces where I feel like I'm really starting to understand how light works. Not really the best because you can see a lot of mistakes and problems with it. But hey, that's all a part of getting better. I was watching Kill Bill again the other day. Yo, let me tell you, Kill Bill has to be a funny ass movie. Like I understand that the movie was never meant to be taken seriously, but I'm just like, bro, how, spoiler, well, you probably should have seen this movie. This movie's been out probably like the same age as I am. Anyway, how do you shoot somebody point blank through a cereal box and still miss to the point that she's able to throw a knife? I was like, bro, that was the first thing that kind of blew my... I just didn't understand the whole plot of the movie at that point. But yeah, pretty interesting. Was a lot shorter than I remembered. Like the movie ran a very long time, but it was a lot shorter. Anyway, I feel like I'm just yapping right now. Let me get back to the art. Okay, 2 more sketchbooks left. This is just to show off where I'm currently at right now on my alcohol marker journey. This sketchbook, I actually haven't used it in a very long time. Like this was all done with actually acrylic markers. I did this like a while back. I actually did it on a plane. I never drew on a plane before, but I went to Miami for my birthday back last year. And yeah, this was pretty fun to do. Actually sit there, be on a plane and just like draw. I forgot what movie I was watching when this was on. I couldn't really remember. But yeah, we're gonna get into this. This one was an unfinished drawing. I never got around to completing it because I kind of just like ran out of the idea. I was kind of just like letting myself draw intuitively. So this is more of a self-portrait. It's kind of how I look from behind. That's how my braids are. I have 4 braids at the time. yeah, I like this concept. I just never finished it. That led me to now this next piece, which I was actually really proud of, especially with this upcoming part right here. Yeah, I really like how this face turned out. Let me zoom in actually a little bit more so we can see. Hold on. Okay. Yeah. Gotta hold the edges. Yeah, I like how this one turned out. It was like a really big underwater theme. Kind of wanted to make everything kind of flow together, and I think this is kind of like, I wouldn't really say like the stages of like sadness, but like definitely how emotions kind of are. Where just like kind of like follow from this side of the page and going over. You know, you kind of just have like that first initial period where you kind of just got like release the emotions and just let them out, and then you kind of just like get to this point where just like your head is just above water to where you feel like you can still breathe from whatever you're going through or dealing with, and it's not really the end of the world, but you know at any point one thing can like bring you under. So it's just kind of like how it is, and that's like the waves. That's how the emotions are. Then you have a point where you're just, you know, underwater, but you're not really too panicked about it. You kind of just like come to like another version of acceptance. You kind of just like sit down in it, kind of feel it out, see it. Yo, they really do not want me to finish this video. Anyway, I'm gonna make this quick. And then yeah, then at the very end, I feel like this would be kind of like the shadow aspect of all of the healing, where it's just like that's kind of like the point where you end up at, and this is where the cycle could repeat again, but it doesn't really feel as much. You kind of like bypass majority of this, not really bypass it, but it gets a lot more easier to manage and deal with. So I feel like when you're in that shadow period, you kind of just like more controlled, and I guess you have like a more dominance inside of your sadness. Like I think at least that's how I perceive it for my life. Like I feel like most of the moments where I feel like I was the most sad, I also had like a most level of dominance, just because there was really nothing for me to be angry at. Like I had all the reasons to kind of just like move forward. So since I no longer had that feeling of anger, it kind of allowed me to fall a little bit more deeper into my sadness and kind of understand like where did that anger even come from in the first place. I'm also gonna show this unfinished drawing a little. All right, we're gonna just pretend like that didn't happen. So yeah, let me show some love to this drawing. This one was unfinished. I feel like I stopped this one a little bit too early. Yeah, I probably could have went a little bit deeper on this. I really like the reference on this one. That's how I was able to pull this off. So I'm gonna do something like this again, try to build upon it and see what I can do in my own way. But yeah, even though I thought that this was too dark, it's kind of funny because in the next drawing I get into is actually really dark. So yeah, took this reference. I like how this turned out. This is my first time actually using this color for the marker for the skin tone. I think I want to use this a little bit more. This is a warm gray from the Ohuhu's skin tone set. Yeah, from the skin tone set. Yeah, really like how this turned out. I don't really know what I was doing over here. I was trying to do something like a little bit different, you know, just trying to like work and play around with like different tones of grays and whatnot. But it wasn't horrible. So I kind of like how it turned out. That might have been the last one in this book. Okay, and then now we have the final book that we're working on. We finally have gotten ourselves a big black book. I know what you was thinking. Get your mind out the gun. Anyway, finally got us a bigger book. So I've been looking for one of these books for the longest because I need me a book that can just lay flat, you know? Like a book that just lays flat like this. Like for some reason that is so hard to come across on, but I finally found one that's actually good and works well with the alcohol marker. So I'm going to show a couple drawings in this one since a lot of stuff I'm still working on. But yeah, this was the first piece that we did. We actually finished this one. We posted this one. Like I said, trying to get better, more consistent. Actually, let me see if I can fix it. Make sure it's in the frame. Okay. Yeah, this first page is already kind of going through it. As you see, it's not lining up with the rest of the pages because I had this book open like this whole entire time instead of drawing on the first page. Anyway, I liked how this turned out completely. This was nice to draw a self-portrait and draw stuff that I feel like, what would I be able to draw if I wasn't really so afraid of putting it out there? And I think it's more of things like this. Like I think there's a lot of stuff that people don't know that I'm really into. Because I am a really private person, I keep a lot of things to myself. I don't really share too much with people. But yeah, this is like one example of like how I think about like a lot of like metaphysical stuff, spiritual stuff. You know, third eyes open. You know, consciousness. I have devil, angel on my shoulder. Just like the duality concept of it, light and darks. So you know, the whole shebang. I like stuff like that. I've always been a complicated person, as you know, people would like to describe me as. yes, this one is the most recent drawing, and I really like how this one turned out. This was kind of like a let Pinterest tell you what to draw. I kind of just went in, found a pose that I like from a perspective, because that's something that I've really been trying to work on now. It's just like getting less of my figures to be static and have them doing stuff, interacting with one another, or just interacting with the space that they're in. So yeah, with this one, I call this one Slayer. He was like fighting some type of monster in the middle of an alley, and he's just walking back out into society like nothing happened. And the coolest part about it is that, yeah, people walk around in this time period with weapons on and stuff like that. So it's not uncommon to see people walking down the street with weapons and stuff like that. But the fact that he fought this thing back there, all this blood is coming out, he doesn't have any blood on the fit. I think that's pretty cool. I have no fucking clue what my neighbors upstairs are doing right now. And now they stop. Anyway. Anyway, yeah, I think that was the last thing that I've done so far for this week. I don't think there's anything else that I want to show. So yeah, we're gonna end the video here. This was a very interesting journey. I learned a lot. That's the main thing I'm going to say. I definitely learned a lot. I'm looking forward to learning a lot more. It is definitely hard though, keeping up with, I would say, the progression that I'm growing at right now. Not necessarily that it's hard because like I'm doing a lot. I think it's more so hard because I feel like I'm not giving myself enough time to digest and learn stuff. So that's something I'm going to try to practice a lot more, which is another reason why I bought this book. This book is supposed to be more so for like my personal kind of like drawing stuff that I feel like, all right, if I feel like showing it, I can. If I don't really want to show it, I'll just keep it to myself and not really feel too bad about it. Because as you see, I have tons of sketchbooks that I can completely share with the public. But yeah, this one, if I want to keep it to myself, I don't think anybody will be mad at me for that. But this is what I wanted to show so far for today. Again, thank you for watching. Keep drawing. You're going to get there. Just don't give up. Keep practicing. It doesn't have to be every day, but just make sure that you're being consistent. Your idea of consistent is what should be your goal. Don't look at it like, oh, I have to post this every day, or I have to do this every day. If your focus is to improve, focus on improving every day. Don't focus on posting every day. If you want to figure out the best way to post stuff like that, I always just say at least post once a week, so that way you can recap everything that you've done for the entire week. You have your carousels, you can post up to 20 photos, so there you go. That way you don't have to feel any pressure about like, oh, like you don't have enough followers right now, because like nobody's following you. It doesn't really matter. Just keep making the work and they'll come eventually. So that is my advice for this. Again, thank you guys for watching.